Necklines are one of the most visible parts of anything you sew, and if you've ever struggled with rippling, gaping, or just plain unattractive necklines, you know how frustrating it can be. So after watching this video, not only will you know 4 different ways to finish a neckline professionally, you'll be able to swap out techniques to get exactly the look you want and not just what the pattern tells you. First up, let's talk about the simple facing. This is probably the most common neckline finish you'll encounter, and there's a good reason for that. It looks great, it adds structure, and it's really easy to sew even for beginners. A facing is basically a pattern piece that mirrors the shape of your neckline rather than being a separate trim. You'll usually cut it from your main fabric and then add interfacing to give it a little bit more structure. Now, you might be wondering why you'd choose a facing over something like bias tape. So here's the thing. Facings really shine when you're working with structured garments like jackets or coats. They provide that extra stability that just helps your neckline keep its shape. Even a simple dress can benefit from a facing if you're using a more structured fabric or you want that really crisp, tailored look. And they're pretty easy to sew. They're a really great place to start for most necklines. Before we start sewing, let's get everything prepared. This is where a lot of sewists make their first mistake, rushing into attaching the facing without proper preparation. So here's what you need to do. First, prepare your neckline. Take your garment and stay stitch inside the seam allowance, working from shoulder to center on both the front and back pieces. This prevents any stretching that could distort your neckline. Make sure your shoulder seams are sewn and finished exactly how you want them. Now for the facing itself. First, stay stitch the neckline here as well. You don't want the neckline of your garment or your facing to stretch out because then they won't match up. Then fuse any interfacing you want to use. You'll then have shoulder seams to sew just like in your main garment. One crucial step is finishing the bottom edge of your facing. Let me show you 4 different methods. 1, serging the edge, which is my personal favorite for its clean finish. 2, using pinking shears for a simple, effective finish. 3, zigzag stitching along the edge. And 4, the double fold and top stitch method. Here's a little tip. While that last method might seem like it's the most finished, I actually use it the least because it creates unnecessary bulk under your garment. Now comes the actual construction. Place your facing on the neckline with right sides together. Here's a technique I've developed over years of sewing. Always start by pinning at the shoulder seams first. This anchors your critical points and makes everything else fall into place naturally. Then pin around the rest of the neckline, aligning those raw edges. When you're ready to sew, follow your pattern's specified seam allowance. Take your time here. Accuracy is a lot more important than speed. Next, carefully trim and grade your seam allowance. This allows the neckline to lie smoothly without any pulling or puckering. Depending on your pattern, you might need to clip or notch your curves. Now you'll press the seam allowance toward the facing. And here's where many sewists go wrong. They skip understitching. This is absolutely crucial for a professional finish. So about 1/16 to 1/8 inch from your seam line, attaching the facing to the seam allowance. Yes, it can be fussy, especially around curves, but this step is what keeps your facing from rolling to the outside of your garment. Now comes the transformation. Flip that facing to the inside of your garment and press. Thanks to our understitching, it's going to roll perfectly to the inside, taking just a tiny bit of the garment fabric with it. This is what creates that professional edge. Use a pressing hand to maintain the curve of your neckline. It makes a big difference. Pin the facing in place, making sure to smooth out any air pockets. Now you have 2 options for securing it. 1, top stitch around the outer edge of the facing, or 2, hand tack it at strategic points like seams. The top stitching method is faster and it adds a design element, while hand tacking is invisible, but it takes slightly more time. Both work beautifully. It's really just about your personal preference and the look that you're going for. Either one's going to keep the facing from flopping out. By the way, a lot of people don't realize how incredibly easy it is to change the shape of a neckline if you don't like it. It's really not hard to create a V-neck or a boat neck or a crew neck, or even just raise or lower a neckline to your own preference. If you want to learn how to do that, we actually have an entire free class that shows you how. So if you want access, I'll put a link to that below. You just enter your email at the link and I'm going to send you the class for free. Okay, next let's talk about an all-in-one facing. Think of it as one continuous piece that finishes both your neckline and the armholes at the same time. It's like having a partial lining around the upper part of your garment, and it creates this beautifully smooth, professional look inside. Now you might be wondering, why not just use separate facings for the neckline and the armholes? So here's the thing. When you use separate facings, they often overlap, creating these bulky spots that can show through on the outside of your garment. Plus, you end up with all these separate pieces of fabric floating around inside your garment, which can be really annoying to wear. The all-in-one facing solves all of these problems. It's perfect for sleeveless dresses or tops where you want a really clean finish. I especially love using this technique on lightweight fabrics where every little bump might show through. But here's where it gets interesting. When you first try to work with an all-in-one facing, you might run into what seems like an impossible puzzle. Let me demonstrate. If we try to sew this facing the obvious way, attaching it all around the neckline and the armholes, we end up stuck. There's literally no way to turn it right side out. It's like trying to turn a sealed bag inside out. It just doesn't work. This is where the magic comes in. We're going to use something called the burrito method. I know, it sounds like we're making lunch instead of sewing, but this technique is absolutely brilliant once you get the hang of it. We actually have an entire video on using the burrito method, so I'm going to link that in the description because it really deserves a whole video. But let me share a few pro tips that are going to make this technique even better. Always grade your seams before turning. This reduces bulk and it helps everything lay perfectly flat. Cut your facing seam allowance slightly narrower than your main fabric seam allowance. Press everything really well at each step. I cannot stress this enough. Pressing is what makes this technique look truly professional. If you're working with a lightweight fabric, consider interfacing your facing. This gives it just enough body to stay in place and not flip out to the right side. Look at this final result. Isn't it beautiful? The inside of your garment looks just as professional as the outside with no bulk, no overlapping facings, and everything staying exactly where it should. Let's move on to bias facing. This is where we start having a lot of fun because you can really play with design here. You can use store-bought single-fold bias tape, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can make your own. The magic of bias facing is that it can handle curves beautifully because it's cut on the bias, meaning diagonally across the grain of the fabric. Before we dive in, let's talk about when to use bias tape facing. The beauty of this technique is that you can swap it out for traditional facings in most cases. While standard facings are great when you need more structure, bias tape facings work beautifully for everything else. And it's especially perfect for sewing sleeveless garments. One of my favorite things about bias tape facing is its versatility. You can either match it perfectly to your fabric for that invisible, really clean look, or you can have fun with contrasting colors and prints. I actually love spending weekend afternoons just turning my fabric scraps into bias tape. So those striped and floral prints make the most delightful finishes later on, and it's so nice to have it waiting in my stash when I need it. If you're new to making your own bias tapes, I have videos to help you out there too. So I'll link to some of those different techniques you can use to create your own at home, because it's kind of addictive. Let's start once again with stay stitching to keep those curves from getting stretched out while you sew. So think of stay stitching as a seat belt for your fabric. It keeps everything exactly where it should be. You don't have to stay stitch or bias tape, just your neckline. Once you've stay stitched, sew and finish your shoulder seams. And now comes the fun part, working with the bias tape. Take your single fold bias tape and find its center point. This will line up with your center front. You'll want enough tape to go around the entire neckline, plus about 4 extra inches just for insurance. Here's where a little attention to detail makes all the difference. Open up those folds in your bias tape and pin it right sides together with your neckline. Align the raw edges perfectly. Start at center front and work your way around to the center back. When you reach the back, you're going to create a clean join. Let me show you how. At center back, fold your garment in half along the center point, wrong sides together. Pin just the binding pieces right sides together, making sure they're perfectly aligned. This is a precise step. Pin exactly where your stitch line will be. Remove a few pins on either side so you can sew without catching your garment. Sew the binding ends together, trim away excess, and press that seam open. Now repin this section to your neckline. This creates a completely smooth join that looks professionally finished. Time to attach the facing. Sew along that first fold line in your bias tape. Be sure to keep your seam allowance consistent the entire way around. Let's trim and grade that seam allowance. This is where those small trimming scissors really earn their keep. They give you the precision you need for a clean finish. Press the seam allowance and bias tape up and away from the neckline. For understitching, sew through the binding and both seam allowances about 1/16 to 1/8 inch from your original seam line. This simple step keeps your binding perfectly in place on the inside of your garment. Now we're ready for the final steps. Refold your bias tape along those original press lines. Your pressing hand is essential here for smoothing out those curves. Then fold the entire binding to the inside, rolling it slightly at the understitching line. This creates that perfect edge we're looking for. Secure everything with a line of top stitching close to the outer fold of your bias tape. This keeps all the binding hidden on the inside, leaving just that professional looking top stitching visible on the right side. For our fourth technique, I'm going to show you bias binding. So for this technique, you'll need double fold bias tape. Let's talk about what makes bias binding different from other neckline finishes. Unlike a bias facing that's completely hidden on the inside, bias binding creates this beautiful frame around your neckline that's visible from both sides. This makes it perfect for sheer fabrics and eyelet lace, where you want everything to look polished from every angle. Just like with all our other necklines, you'll want to start with stay stitching. No matter what, we don't want our neckline to get stretched out. For the binding itself, measure your neckline and add about 4 extra inches. This gives you some wiggle room when we join the ends. If you're making your own bias tape, again, check out those videos linked below. Let's start attaching the binding. You're gonna do this just like I showed you for the bias facing. Again, real quick, those steps are: 1, cut a strip of bias tape about 4 inches longer than the seam. 2, pin the bias tape around your neckline, right sides together. 3, fold it in half and match up the ends of the tape and mark with a pin. 4, stitch the ends of the tape together, trim and press. And 5, stitch your bias tape to the neckline all the way around the first fold. So far, it's just like the bias facing, right? This is where we'll change it up. Instead of folding the entire thing to the inside, we're gonna wrap it around the edge. Start by pressing the tape away from the neckline just along the fold. Use your pressing hand to support the curve and press the binding and the seam allowance away from the garment. Be careful not to press out those pre-made folds in your bias tape because we need those. Now for the part that often trips people up, wrapping and securing the binding. Fold your binding around to the wrong side, encasing all those raw edges. This is where Wonder clips really shine. They let you see both sides clearly as you work. I always use Wonder clips when I sew binding of any kind. If you're new to this or working with a tricky fabric, here's a really helpful tip. Hand baste this fold in place first. Yes, it takes a few extra minutes, but it's worth it for perfect results. You can remove the basting stitches later. When you're ready, edge stitch along the folded edge, catching all the layers. Work slowly and check both sides as you go. If you notice you've missed catching the binding in a spot, don't panic. Just unpick an inch or two around that area, reclip, and try again. It takes a while to get used to this, and I still mess it up from time to time, so just be patient with yourself. And remember earlier when I mentioned the burrito method for those all-in-one facings? It really is like a magic trick, and you can use it for linings, yokes, and more. I highly recommend you watch this video next to see how it's done.